All right. And we are live. Good to see everybody. Hope everyone is doing well. I just realized we went live in the middle of me drinking water, which is fun. What's up, Karen? You're first. Congratulations. You're back to your usual firstness. Hi, Rochelle. How are you? What's up, Daniel? Good morning. Isn't it afternoon where you are? It's morning where I'm at. What's up, Shelby? What's up, DLJ? What's up, Chris? Good to see ya. Howdy, howdy. What's up, Celeste? What's up, Karen? What's up, Corey? What's up, Frederick? What's up, Gemini? What's up, Putz? What's up, Stacy? What's up, Alex? What's up, Frederick? What's up, Emberg? What's up, Celeste? What's up, Kat? What's up, Gemini? What's up, Angela? No, I haven't. What's up? The Cure reminded me Ron was on. How did that work? I like that. We're at 27. Dan, what's up? Hope you're staying safe in snowy Seattle. What's up, New York, Casey? Hope to see you in New York on June 27th, June 17th. June 17th. We are at 30. What's up? Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. That means you guys send me ideas and we talk about it. That's how we get our news on. Casey, I'm going to be at the Broadway Comedy Club in New York City, June 17th. Tickets available at ronplacone.com. Boom. No, New York City. All right. We got a lot to talk about today. You guys have been sending a lot of stuff. So we will get right to it. So this happened. Trump took the fight for the border wall to El Paso, where Beto O'Rourke was waiting for him. So this happened last night. President Trump took his fight for a wall to the U.S.-Mexico border on Monday night, promising a crowd in El Paso, Texas, that he would press forward for its construction, even as news was breaking in Washington that a deal reached between congressional negotiators would fall short of his funding demands. In a near shutdown that seemed to mirror the ongoing political dispute over the border, Trump was greeted by a counter-rally led by Democrat Beto O'Rourke. The former Texas lawmaker failed last year in his effort to unseat GOP Senator Ted Cruz, but could parlay his newfound celebrity with Democratic voters into a 2020 bid. This is what we're going to be talking about, by the way, to unseat the president. A White House bid that could especially challenge Trump over immigration policy, border security, and the propriety of building a southern border wall. But the biggest threat to the message about the need to secure the border that Trump was trying to deliver was coming from many miles away. As another partial government shutdown loomed, bipartisan negotiators on Capitol Hill emerged with a deal Monday night for $1.37 billion for physical barriers at the border. And that's the same level that was agreed to in last year's Department of Homeland Security funding bill. This will fund about 55 miles of fencing. On stage, Trump claimed he didn't know the details and didn't want to hear about it, sticking to his robust talking points on the border wall. As I was walking up to the stage, they said that progress is being made with this committee. Just so you know, we're building the wall anyway, he said to raucous applause underneath Finish the Wall banners. Speaking in an interview with Fox News conducted on the sidelines of the rally, Trump suggested he didn't know many of the specifics of the deal and said, we'll see what happens. About his push for a border wall, Trump said his desire for a physical barrier is about safety. A wall is a very good thing, not a bad thing. That's... There's the intellectual astuteness of the... A wall is a very good thing, not a bad thing. Why are you for the wall, Donald Trump? Well, it's a good thing. Are you sure? Yeah, it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. How do you know it's a good thing? Well, it's not a bad thing. Are you sure it's not a bad thing? It's a moral thing. What does that have to do with anything? How? No, it's not. No, it is not. It is not a moral thing. It is not a good thing. It is a bad thing. It is a waste of resources. It is a waste of money. And it is based on racism and bigotry. We have a net zero immigration. There's no reason for the wall whatsoever. None. But now at this point, he's just kind of playing to his base. And only a fraction of his base, because a lot of his base was like, it's not worth it. A lot of his base, even the part of his base that supported the wall, there was another stat out there that even they were like, this isn't worth the government shutdown, this isn't worth all this, whatever, we'll put a pin in it. Even they said that. There's only a small fraction of his base that's still like, build the wall, finish the wall. But that's the loudest. Those are the loudest people that he listens to. So that's what's going on with that. So according to NBC News, O'Rourke's team, this is Beto O'Rourke, said there were about 7,000 people at his rally in a mile-long march beforehand per law enforcement. Bloomberg News reported that O'Rourke's rally had been estimated at 10,000 to 15,000 people. At various points during his own rally, Trump claimed that 69,000 people had RSVP'd and that fire marshals allowed 10,000 people in, with tens of thousands still watching outside. But NBC News reported that Trump's rally was at 6,500 capacity. I think he just said 69 on purpose. I think he knew he was going to make a number up, and that's the first number that came to his head. He was like, 69. There were 69 people. 69 people and 69,000. 69,000 people. That's your final. Yes, there were 69,000 people. They want the wall. They know it's a good thing, not a bad thing, and it's moral. It's a moral wall. The wall prays on Sundays. The wall does its penance. The other day, I saw the wall helping an elderly woman across the street. That's what happens. It's a good wall. It's a moral wall. It keeps the bad walls out, actually. That's what 69,000 people agree with me. You mean 6,500? No, 69,000. I think it's cool that Beto O'Rourke did this, but he should not run for president. The guy that couldn't beat Ted Cruz should not run for president. I'm sorry. And, you know, he's not good on the issues either. That's another reason I don't want to see Beto O'Rourke run for president. He's good on this one. Hey, Trump's border wall is a bad idea. We agree on that. Yeah. We're both on the same page there. But, you know, when it comes to healthcare and banking, he's not the greatest. And, yeah, everyone's saying, like, he's Trump's worst nightmare. I'm like, that might be true, but only because I don't think Trump actually wants to continue being president. He's Trump's worst nightmare if Trump really does not want to win in 2020. Then he's Trump's worst nightmare because it's like, ah, shit, I'm going to win this one. All right. Let's see if there's any more to this. So this is Beto here. We know that walls do not save lives. Walls end lives, Beto O'Rourke said. He also criticized the Trump administration's treatment of immigrants, from separating children from adults at the border to housing migrants in detention centers. We are making a stand for truth against lies and hate and ignorance and intolerance. The potential, I hope not. I hope not. Again, this is a good thing. This is a good thing that he did. I'm with him on this one. We both know that the wall is a terrible idea. We will not take advantage of them, O'Rourke added about immigrants. We will not send them back to certain death. We will not believe that walls can or should keep them out. Instead, we welcome them with open arms. You know, the biggest question here is, how was Beto O'Rourke heard with those 69,000 people shouting at him? All 69,000 of those wall enthusiasts. What do you put in your coffee in the morning that you would show up to Trump's rally for something like that? I got things to do today. I'm gonna be supporting a border wall that we don't need. That's an emblem of hate, and that's gonna be a huge waste of money. And it's going to be privatized, so it's just going to pad the pockets of a few of Donald Trump's rich friends. It's not really going to even be a good economic thing. It's going to be terrible on every level, morally, economically, physically, environmentally. It's going to be a disaster on every level imaginable. And I'm going to support it because I believe this is a real problem. That's what I think. How do you have to wake up in the morning to feel that way? Like how to like you're just like, history, wrong side, boom. Stoked to be on the wrong side of history. So in this particular case, Beto O'Rourke doing the right thing, but Beto O'Rourke, don't run for president. Maybe Beto is learning here that when you stand up for something, you inspire people. Because, he couldn't stand up for healthcare. He couldn't stand up for against the banks. He couldn't stand... you look at his voting record, it's not great. And if the only thing he can stand up for is, hey, I'm not as bad as Trump, that ain't gonna win. You know how we know that? Because it didn't work the first time. Didn't work the first time. I'm really thirsty this morning. Very, very thirsty this morning. What are you going to do? All right, next we're going over to Rochester, New York. Check this out. Our view, cable competition is good news for consumers. Is there anybody in Rochester who is not celebrating the city's awarding a franchise to a second cable provider? Well, maybe the folks who work for Charter. Oh, jumped on me. All right. So Rochester, New York is getting a new cable service provider to compete with Charter, and that is Micronet. Who is Micronet? I will show you. So this is Micronet. They're just a cable company. They're a little smaller, and they focus on fiber. So here's the deal. Rochester, New York is going to get a little more competition, which, yes, is a kind of good thing, because now at least they don't have one cable service provider. The reason it's not necessarily a great thing is because it's not a city-owned provider. So, somebody tweeted when I was tweeting this out, they were like, look, in the long run, both these companies just build cable over cable. It turns into a big mess because they don't take the city into account. And it's just basically, it turns into more or less an organized duopoly. That's what you see happen time and time again. Is that going to be what happens here? Maybe, maybe not. But Rochester, New York is getting a new cable provider, but it's not a city-owned cable provider, and that's where they messed up. This will likely come back to haunt them to some degree. And as the article points out, Rochester had a contract for Charter to be their exclusive provider. They were able to get out of that contract, get around that contract, but instead of building a city-owned municipal network, they're allowing another third-party entity to come in. So that's the interesting piece of the puzzle on this issue. When you get more providers in there, you can't just have other cable companies come in. You have to build your own. That's how we're going to get out of this mess in regards to preserving net neutrality and in regards to getting better quality internet at a better price. We have to have municipal broadband networks across the country. So there's another for instance, and there's a case where Rochester, I guess I would say they're being a little short-sighted because, yeah, the idea that there's more than one cable company, that is good. However, you're just bringing in another cable company. They're just going to keep building stuff. It's going to be kind of a mess, and it's not going to be city-owned. And as we learned yesterday in Louisville, Kentucky, when it's not city-owned, they do a more haphazard job because you're just an investment to them. It's not their city. Denver teachers striking over bonus-based pay system, demanding reliable salary plan and better wages. This is from Democracy Now! Public school teachers in Denver, Colorado are striking for the second day after negotiation between the teachers union and the school district failed to reach a contract over the weekend. The Denver Classroom Teachers Association is demanding an increase in teachers' base salaries rather than putting money in incentives and bonuses. The Denver teachers walked out Monday following 15 months of negotiations over a controversial bonus-based pay system that educators say leaves them unable to predict their salaries and guarantee financial security. The starting salary for a Denver teacher for the 2019-2020 school year is $45,255, according to the Denver Post. This is their first strike in 25 years. So here's what one of the teachers is saying. That's the president of the Colorado Education Association. Here's some verbiage from their interview with Juan Gonzalez. Our students are the ones who suffer the most when qualified, committed, and caring educators can't afford to stay in the classroom. Teachers want to stay. There's no place we'd rather be than in front of our students every single day, but we don't need a bonus to stay. No, we need reliable, reasonable class sizes. We need mental health support for our students. So bring us a proposal tomorrow that has a fair, transparent, and competitive salary schedule that prioritizes base salary over bonuses that disrupt our students' education. So here's my thing. This, of course, is new to me today. This is my first awareness of the teacher strike. Started yesterday. What I'm not aware of is how those salaries work, where you see they mention time and time again, this bonus is a big part of the salary. This is a big factor of teacher salary. I'd imagine that's some kind of performance bonus. So I imagine that means if your students get certain grades, you get a bonus. If they don't get the grades, you don't. That's what I'm guessing something like that means. But even if that's not exactly what it means, you guys see how a bonus, like an incentive based on students' performance is a very, very not good thing to do on so many levels. First of all, it's like, hey, if you get this certain grade, I'm going to get a bonus. So, hey, students, the answer to number 3 might be B. It might be B. Might be B. Hey, look at this chalkboard where I'm totally not writing all the answers. That could happen. That could happen. Also, how can you be, I mean, so many of these classes are just at random. How are you going to know? Like, some students might struggle more. They might need extra attention than others. So if you don't get them to a certain grade, you're not going to. And plus, wouldn't that incentivize teachers to grade them easier? To just be like, oh, like everyone got an A. What I'm saying is, how do they base that incentive? Is it based on number of students taught? That's also bad, because then you're going to want more students in your classroom, which means you're not going to be able to teach as easily. You can only teach so many students in the classroom. Once you have above a certain number, it just becomes ridiculous. That's why a lot of these strikes are happening, including this one. The teachers are saying we need reasonable class sizes. So if you give them an incentive based on the grade students get, that's a terrible idea. If you give them an incentive based on how many students they're teaching, also a terrible idea. Well, gee, how else could you base incentives? Is it based on how many classes they teach? Well, gee, how many classes can teachers teach per day? Again, once you get to a certain point, it becomes ridiculous and you're going to do a shitty job. So again, that's another terrible incentive to give teachers. So I don't see any scenario where an incentive-based pay for teachers works or is a good idea, or in any way would help them do their job. Their salary should be focused on the job itself, and they should be paid well. So that's an interesting part to this in the Denver situation. Like, what are these incentives? Like, what are these incentives that they're getting? So here's something interesting. Amy Goodman reports that several Denver students joined their teachers on picket lines outside their schools on Monday. Many complained of chaos inside the schools due to inadequate staffing of substitute teachers and lack of schedules for students. This is Denver's first teacher strike in a quarter of a century. It comes just weeks after a historic 6-day teacher strike in Los Angeles, and that ended with a victory for educators demanding smaller class sizes and higher wages. These actions are the latest in a wave of teacher strikes that began last year with Republican-controlled states like West Virginia, Oklahoma, and Arizona. So that's the one thing to keep in mind. Strikes, just like the common cold, are contagious. Once they start, they keep going. And more people do them. And more people want to do them. Why? Because they're necessary right now. So that's the one thing that can make you a little optimistic. Strikes are contagious. So let's see if there's any more as far as what's going on in Denver right now. So here's from a science teacher. My name is Samantha Agus, and I'm a science teacher at East High School in Denver Public Schools, and I'm here because I believe that all students deserve experienced teachers, and there's too much turnover in the Denver Public Schools. And so we're hoping that we can change that through these contract negotiations, and hopefully the district will start listening. This is my 3rd year in the public school system, my 5th as a teacher. Right now, I can't afford to have a family. My husband and I would really like to start planning for that in the next few years. And as it is now, our baby would probably have to sleep in a closet or something because we can't afford to upsize our home or anything like that. We can't do any renovations. And so we're kind of in a holding pattern. And so we're hoping that after these contract negotiations that we'll be in a place where we can save money and start a family. That's great. You know, when I think about the betterment for humanity, the last thing I want are teachers making people. I wouldn't want that. Man, people who specializing in educating people, wouldn't want them breeding. A teacher. How terrible is that? A teacher can't afford to have a family. And it's not like they're calling for, it's not like they're calling to make the same money that a surgeon makes or something like that. They're asking for a decent wage for what they do, and they deserve one. They're responsible for educating the future of America. That's what their job is. Like, hey, the future, it depends. It starts here, starts with you. And there are some, man, I just think about how one of the first teachers I had was one of the worst ones I had. My kindergarten teacher was awful. That's neither here nor there. I don't want to get into it, but man, she was the worst. She hated me. I cut my hair on the 2nd day of school, and then right after I did that, she just decided she hated me. Like, after that, like, she was just like, she blamed me for, like, I was considered a problem child after that happened. So we'll see what happens here with this strike. It's on its 2nd day. And again, the one uplifting thing about all this, strikes are contagious. So it's in Colorado now, and I look forward to seeing where it's going to be next. And you know what else is contagious is movements and protests and strikes for movements. And a couple strikes led to this happening. Senate passage of a new minimum wage in Illinois. We're going over to Illinois now. Governor Pritzker cheered Senate passage of a new statewide minimum wage. This was a couple Thursdays ago. A bill that would hike it $1 next year and raise it to $15 an hour by 2025. So here's the quote. Today, the state Senate made it clear that working families in Illinois deserve a raise, and they're going to get one, the governor said in remarks in Springfield after the Senate voted 39-18 to advance the measure. Lead sponsor, Senator Kimberly Lightford of Maywood, introduced Senate Bill 1 only Wednesday, but it immediately cleared committee and the full Senate approved it Thursday. Pritzker applauded Lightford and urged House sponsor Rep. Will Guzzardi to move equally swift. So the state's current minimum wage is $8.25. If enacted into law, the Senate bill would raise it to $9.25 next year and through gradual steps would advance it to $15 by 2025. This is a 6-year period to allow businesses time to plan and adapt to this legislation. I would like a more aggressive plan, but this is a step. This is an important step. And the movement for living wages across the country is picking up steam. New Jersey just approved $15 an hour. Illinois is working on it now. This movement is picking up steam. And once again, these movements are contagious. These strikes are contagious. These actions are contagious. So it's happening in Illinois. Now, there's been a little bit of pushback. So let's look into this. Push to raise the minimum wage in Illinois has many concerned there will be more consequences than benefits. Okay, let's see what this article is all about. A bill to increase the minimum wage in Illinois has passed through the Senate and is on its way to the House of Representatives. The bill would raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour over a 6-year span. For many people, they worry this pay increase could come at a cost. Okay. At some point in their lives, most of us have worked a minimum wage job. Lauren Dodd has worked at Crossroads Cafe for 2 years. She said, well, more money would be nice. It's not fair to others who have college. Oh, my God. Okay. She said, well, more money would be nice. It's not fair to others who have college degrees. Lauren, I have 2 degrees. It doesn't make me any better or worse than anybody else. It has nothing to do with intelligence. I know some of the dumbest people I know have master's degrees. And some of the smartest people I know have barely finished high school. And that's the truth. I also know a lot of brilliant people that have master's degrees, and I know a lot of dumb people that barely, my point is, the level of education you completed is not a sole factor of your intelligence, nor is it really remnant of any type of accomplishment. I'm not saying school's a bad thing. I went to school. I have a master's. Grad school was an amazing experience for me. It changed my life. But that just happened to be my path. That happened to be my path. I came from a family of academics, so school was a big deal. I really developed a love of learning in college. There were issues that I really wanted to study, like media policy and media structures. That was my field of interest. I was able to study it. I got lucky because I came from a family of academics. I ended up, between saving up from birth and between summer jobs and between scholarships and between tuition remission that you get when you have parents that work in academia, which both of mine did. I was able to not have very much student loan debt after my undergrad. I had very little. I was very lucky. And then my graduate degree, I got a funding package. So I had no student loan debt there. So I was incredibly lucky in that regard. And, what does that have to... That means I deserve a higher wage than somebody else? What? That makes no sense. That makes 0 sense. Plus, I'm no better or worse than somebody that became a carpenter or became a mechanic or decided school wasn't for them and just wanted to work and travel whenever they saved up money. I mean, what the hell does that have to do with anything? I mean, like what mental? Oh, that's not. I don't want to make more money. That's not fair to the people that have college degrees. Like who? All right, let's get back to this article. It's gonna take some minutes. Okay, she said that more money would be nice. It's not fair to others who have college degrees. I didn't choose to go to college. Should I have? Yes, that's on everybody's own basis. But for the people that went to college for 6 years and are getting worked for 10 years to max out at $15 an hour, and somebody walks in the next day and starts at $15 an hour, that wouldn't cut it for me. Why? Just because someone went to college, you think that automatically means they worked hard? They might not have. They might. I used to teach college too, and I can tell you, some of those people there were working 2 and 3 jobs so they could go to school on the side, and they worked their ass off. Some of those people there just had wealthy parents. They didn't know what they wanted to do, so they were dicking around in my classroom 40 minutes a day. I saw that and everything in between. Once again, you can't assume something just because somebody has a piece of paper. All right. Dodd also feels the increase may cause a reaction and drive up living costs. I think it will just turn into a big chain link process. Yeah, it also means people are spending more money because they have more of it to spend. Okay, so here's this person's boss, Sony Halimi. Halimi would love to give his employees more money, but it's just not possible. I care more about the employees than myself. I feel bad sometimes, they don't make enough money, I wish I could pay them $15 or $10 per hour, but it's just really hard. This is bullshit. This is complete and utter bullshit. And you see people say stuff like this a lot. You see like, oh, I wish I could pay them more. But it's just, it's just, really? There's some law prohibiting you from paying your employees more? You can't do it? Or you don't want to? If you can't afford to pay your employees a living wage, you can't afford an employee. That's how that works. That's how that works. And there are plenty of other ways you can get your labor needs met. You could cut somebody into the company. You could form partnerships. That's what you could do. Because if you can't afford an employee, then you can't afford an employee. I mean, do you give somebody do you serve somebody a shitty product? Like, oh, I'd like to have a better product, but it's just not possible. It's just hard. Some companies do that, actually, but you get the point. So this article brings up one, for instance, by the way, this is the article. So the pushback this article, this kind of bullshit article, references is one employee who thinks she doesn't deserve to make as much money as one of her other colleagues who happened to go to college. And Lauren, you're confused. If you are doing the same work as somebody else, you deserve the same wage as them, and you deserve a living wage. That's how that works. The other thing they point to is Lauren's boss, who's saying, I'd like to pay them more, but it's just hard. They don't mention how much money they're making. They don't bring that up. But it's hard. Oh, the CEO said it's hard. That's enough. Those are the only two things this article has. Oh, and then the cost of living might go up. The cost of living, yeah, more people are going to be spending money. Other cities that have done it, that's what it's shown. It helps business. Business goes up. People see greater revenues because more people have money in their pockets, so they're spending it. The cost of living is going up in those cities, but for other reasons. The cost of living is going up in those cities. Looking at Seattle for instance, the living wage increase there helped business in the city. It helped the businesses from bottom to top, and people have living wages. The cost of living is going up in the city for other not as related factors. The cost of living is going up because of people like Jeff Bezos buying up the city, gobbling up the city. That's what's happening there. So living wages helps everybody. Sometimes because of other factors, cost of living goes up anyway, but at least people got a living wage in their pocket. What a bullshit article, too. Oh, it's getting some pushback. There's this person that thinks they don't deserve as much money as someone who went to college, and the CEO says it's hard. There you go. There you have it. Guys, we kind of talked about movements in this show today. We talked about the municipal broadband movement, the movement I'm a part of, and how Rochester's an example of the step you shouldn't take. We talked about teacher strikes. We talked about the movement for living wages, and we got one more today, and that is going to be climate change. Climate change. Who's talking about climate change now? Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford delivers an apocalyptic climate warming. Look, guys, I was Indiana Jones. And let me tell you, we can't solve climate change just by punching Nazis, but if we stop electing them, that's a good start. That's not actually how Harrison Ford's speech opened, but it should have been. It should have been. That's how he should have opened. Let's go. Look at him. He's ready. He's like, I am only going to operate an electric-powered helicopter from now on. I'm going to do my part in Jackson Hole. We need to stop climate change. Why? Because pot is a plant, and I like that plant. Harrison Ford loves pot. I don't know if you knew that about. Harrison Ford delivered a stark warning about climate change as he prepared to travel to Dubai to discuss ocean conservation. The Star Wars and Indiana Jones actor, who is 76 years old, didn't get his start until later in life, by the way. Harrison Ford used to be a carpenter, so I guess Lauren would feel that Harrison Ford didn't deserve as much money as her. Harrison Ford probably did an apprenticeship, became a carpenter, so he didn't go to college. So he should, if he worked in Lauren's cafe, him and Lauren should get the lower wages. The degree-holding people, on the other hand, hey, I wrote book reports for 4 years. I need. Oh, it's so goofy. All right. So Harrison Ford recorded a video message in which he urged viewers to join him at the summit, which will be attended by ministers, government officials, and business leaders from all over the world. Ford started his message by asking what it would be like to live in a world that is 4 degrees warmer. Fresh water shortages, higher greenhouse gas emissions, unprecedented fires, worldwide destruction. Is this the world we want? Our planet, the only home we've got, is suffering. We don't want it to be in a museum. We don't want our world to just be documented in a museum. We want to live among it. Right? That's what we need. I really hope, like, when he started talking about solutions, they started playing the Star Wars theme. Like it was like the Empire's March or whatever that is, like dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Fresh water shortage. Dun 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 dun. Higher greenhouse gas emissions. Da 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 da. Unprecedented fires. Da 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 da. Worldwide destruction. Da 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 da. All right. So wait, where's the? All right. So here's what we got to do about it. Oh man, he doesn't talk about solutions. All right. So when he talks about solutions, that's when they're just like, here's what we gotta do. Dun 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 na 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 na. Green New Deal. Da 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 da. Green New Deal. Da na 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 na. Lower emissions, wind and solar. And we should really build an extensive rail across the country so you wouldn't need to fly as much. It could be high speed like what they have in Japan. I know it's hard to imagine, but that's because we've never tried to build it. Da 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 da. Green New Deal. Da 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 da. I don't know if anyone's enjoying this other than me. Da 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 da. Green New Deal. All right. Let's see what you guys are saying. The force is strong with this one. Damn right. Ron Solo. Thanks, Chris. If I wasn't such a Star Wars guy. Yay, awesome song. Even Lucy ran away. She did not. She's right over there. Freestyle musical politics. Easy smoking with Yoda. Copyright strike. I hope not. Thank you, Schultzy. So that's cool that, Han Solo. Chris Wynn says the far right seems to love Star Wars, but do not realize they would side with the Empire if they were there. That's funny. Alex says Ford has a bad feeling about this. I got a bad feeling about this. Don't knock carpenters. They make decent money. I'm not knocking carpenters. They make really good money, and they deserve it because they do a craft that's very, very important, and they have to go through a very extensive apprenticeship process. I know a couple carpenters. I was just pointing out he didn't go to college, so that means if he worked at the cafe. Emma, I'm in Washington right now. I work in Seattle. I have to live in Bremerton. All right, so that, for anyone not in the know, Bremerton is a ferry ride away from Seattle. And I'm still paying over $1,000 a month. Oh, man, Emma, that's crazy. I mean, here's the thing that I think about. I used to live in Seattle. I lived in Seattle from 2007 to about 2010. I lived in a neighborhood called Fremont. Last time I was in Seattle was 2016. It was actually on Election Day, oddly enough. I had a college gig on Election Day 2016. So I was in Seattle. I went back to Fremont. Fremont is totally not the neighborhood it used to be when I was there. It's gotten way more corporate. And the thing that's crazy for me, I was able to afford to live in Fremont. And it was always expensive. Don't get me wrong. Seattle's always been an expensive town. But I was able to live in Fremont, just kind of being a broke, just out of college kid, just kind of working odd jobs, doing stand-up at night, enjoying my life. I was able to afford to live in Fremont. I wasn't getting rich, but I could afford to live in Fremont. Now, even at the stage of life I'm in now, if I moved back to Seattle, I wouldn't be able to afford to live in Fremont. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't afford a neighborhood I afforded then, being in the position I'm in now. And I could afford it as like a broke 20-year-old. So it's, yeah. Yeah, that's something. Frozen Wolf makes another good Star Wars, connection here. The Empire had an energy source that could grow food for millions of worlds, but instead they used it to blow up planets. Sound familiar? Yes. Interesting. I imagine a meme from that Indiana Jones scene where Green New Deal, just shoots a flashy swordsman. Climate change. That's funny. Oh, guys. Schultzy says the Fremont Fair used to be badass. Mass nudes on bikes and pot smoke. They don't still do that? They don't still do the naked bike ride? Even that went away? You've got to be kidding me. They've been doing that forever. Carrie Quinn says, in my first band in 6th grade, my guitars would open each show by playing the Empire theme from Star Wars. We were a hardcore punk band. That's awesome. Anthony, did you see all the sheriffs refusing to enforce our new gun laws here in Washington? I'm not familiar with that. Send me we'll talk about that tomorrow. Send me a story on that. I'm not familiar with that. Okay, David says the naked bike ride does live on. Good. I would have been really depressed if that was the case. And by the way, the Progressive Comedy Tour will be coming to Seattle, by the way. Don't worry. Which, speaking of which, we are out of time. Tour dates, ronplacone.com for all those dates. In March, I'm going to be in the Gulf, New Orleans, Pensacola, Florida, Oxford, Mississippi, and Lafayette, Louisiana. I'm going to be in Texas in April. In May, I'm going to be in Indianapolis. May 1st, I'm in Indianapolis. That's a solo show. And then May 11th, 12th, and 13th, I'm going to be in Salt Lake City and Boise, Idaho with Graham Elwood. Tickets for all those available at ronplacone.com. And in June, Progressive Comedy Tour is coming to the East Coast. New York City, Baltimore, Maryland, Washington, D.C., New Haven, Connecticut, and more dates are being confirmed. Yeah! Boom. If you want to support this show on the sustainability end, please do consider becoming a patron. Patreon.com/ronplacone. You get a bunch of exclusive perks, you get a bunch of fun stuff, and you help keep this show on the air. I could not do this without you. So if you got an extra $1 a month, please do consider it. Guys, thank you so much for being part of this. We got a lot of cool news on today. We got some news, we got some reasons to be optimistic, and that's pretty freaking cool. Thank you for being part of this. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time, or wherever time it is where you're at that hour. You know, I know. We're all in different time zones. I know how it goes. Stay safe out there. Why did I fuck up the word there? I'm slightly dehydrated. I feel like, you know, I didn't drink enough water before bed. So I woke up all like willy-nilly. I'm slurring my words. Not slurring them, but you know what I mean? Like I'm stumbling over them because I'm not hydrated. More mason jar water, please. Stay hydrated. It's important, even in the winter. Peace.